welcome to Big Deal. It has been a very active day and week on Deal Street, and we'll take you through the big action this week. I'm Nisha Poddar. Let's talk about the biggest corporate restructuring in recent memory. Just as CNBC TV 18 had reported in the middle of the week, AB Nuvo Birla Group will merge with another group company, Grasim, to form a mammoth merged entity. Now, there has been a fair bit of stock and shock reaction to the proposed merger, uproar from certain pockets of the shareholders, the minority ones, and lots of questions also raised. We will talk about all the aspects of this big deal in this week. But first, let's take a look at what the deal really entails. Number one, the share swap ratio. 10 shares of AB Nuvo will fetch you 3 Grasim shares. Financial services business will become a separate entity after it gets demerged later, and the financial services business will be listed on the Lal Street. Now, one AB Nuvo share will fetch you 7 shares of the financial services business. Now, the merged entity will have a massive valuation of 47,000 crore rupees. How will this really impact the Birla Group companies? And what will essentially happen is that Grasim will not only have Ultratech, but will have also large shareholdings in Idea as well as AB Financial Services business as other businesses of which it will be a holding company. Apart from the other verticals that have been added like VSF, chemicals, textiles, agri, rayon, yarn as well as insulators. So in total there are 5 verticals that we're talking about under one umbrella company, Grasim, post the merger, and this will need, remember, the approval from the minority shareholders of both the companies that are party to this particular deal. So majority of minority shareholders approval is extremely crucial for the Birla Group. Here's what Aditya Birla Group's chairman, the architect of this deal, Kumar Mangalam Birla, had to say, speaking exclusively to CNBC TV 18.
Financial service business as part of the whole construct of this restructuring gets listed, and we hope to list it by sometime middle of next year. So that in itself is a huge value unlocking proposition for both the sets of shareholders of Grasim as well as for Nuvo. Other than that, you're creating a behemoth that actually is a play on the India growth story. So if you believe in the India growth story, then this is a company that you would want to watch, you'd want to invest in. You've got a very interesting mix of businesses, some that are throwing up cash, some that are fast growing. You've got a very healthy mix of manufacturing and services in the basket. So it's well thought through. We believe that it's going to create value for both sets of shareholders. If you look over the last few years as far as Nuvo goes, we've unlocked value by spinning off carbon black, we've unlocked value by spinning off fashion. So this is very much in keeping with that theme. It's not really out of the blue.
So, Mr. Birla, this of course will have to, because it's a related party transaction, go through the majority of the minority shareholders' vote. And that approval is very essential for this entire restructuring to really go through. What will be your selling point, and how will you really pacify the shareholders of Grasim who may not want an exposure in the telecom business?
So the selling point essentially has to be around value creation. And we believe that we are creating value for both sets of shareholders. I think Grasim is also getting a stake in a very fast growing sector through a very strong business like the Aditya Birla Financial Services Holdco. And I think that is something that the market really hasn't factored in. And I think that is a huge positive spin for Grasim.
So, Mr. Birla, of course, right now the way economics is panning out, these are challenging times for most of the big conglomerates in the country. And we just saw that one of the large conglomerates just finished a merger process. And it went on for about a year because the shareholders weren't happy. And the promoters had to sweeten the deal. In such a scenario, of course, you haven't reached out to the shareholders. We will know from tomorrow on what really dialogue goes on. But if there is more concern coming in from the Grasim shareholders, are you also open to the idea of probably sweetening or revisiting the deal at all?
Not really. So we are coming from a place of conviction where we believe, like I said, that this is value accretive for both sets of shareholders. The valuation has been done independently by 2 very reputed firms. We also have 2 firms that have done a fairness opinion on the valuation that has been done. So I don't believe that there is a case or that we'd even want to revisit what we've announced today.
Are you ruling out the possibility that, it gives you a stronger case to be able to aid IDEA? Would this not be a benefit for IDEA in a broader sense?
So, I think that confusing this transaction with IDEA is a misnomer. I don't think that this transaction per se has anything to do with IDEA. Just to put things in perspective, IDEA has invested almost 20,000 crores in the last 10 years with practically no fresh promoter funding. So they've reached out to a private investor, they've reached out to a strategic investor, they've raised funding through issuing QIPs. So there really is no need for IDEA to bank on this NewCo for funding its own aspiration. It's a strong, financially strong and a distinct legal entity.
So IDEA
and with
is
its
one.
own plans.
So IDEA is one entity which may require cash, and you will look forward to that. Not particularly from Grasim is what you are explaining. But what about the insurance, the NBFC business?
So we've clearly said that this entity will own about 57 to 58% of the financial services business. So obviously, this is a growth engine in terms of providing finance, providing funding for the financial services business. I mean, that is something that we've said very upfrontly.
Okay, so taking
So
that,
from there, you are the company will fund this particular business, which is very fast growing.
So it's not the only reason for this transaction, but it is an important reason for the construct of this whole
to give a stronger parentage for the fund infusion. In what form have you thought about that? Anything coming in to leverage the balance sheet of Grasim to help out the insurance, the NBFC?
So, it's going to be a sub with Grasim New having about 57-58% holding. So there is a very direct linkage it provides from the point of view of fungibility of funds.
at a later date, would it make sense to bring in a partner in terms of equity, in terms of even minority shareholding, if it can add value to the business?
So absolutely, I think if it adds value, we're very open to do that. There's no timeline, there's no sort of, we're not in a cash crunch, so we don't necessarily have to do that today or tomorrow. But if you get a good investor, and it's also about the valuation, I think that would give us a chance to fuel further growth of the business.
And also re-rate that particular business and value unlocking, because the way the entire industry is going, the way insurance sector is seeing some of the benchmark M&A deals that have been done.
So like I said, the idea of getting in a partner would be to fuel growth even further.
So partner, yes. A minority equity stake to a sponsor.
So when I say partner, I mean it in a broader sense. So we don't have the need for a strategic partner. But when I say partner, I mean, let's say a private equity investing in the holdco would be in my construct a partner.
You've also created, Mr. Birla, over here in Grasim. Anyways, it was a holding company of Ultratech, large cement company, and now it has become even larger holding company of three large businesses. That is even adding telecom as well as NBFC. So that shareholders do not like much. So that's also one of the concerns.
Clearly, the shareholders were reacting to news that they saw this morning and yesterday, which was speculative and inaccurate. I think that when they see the real construct of this transaction, they have every reason to feel very happy about it.
See, the way telecom sector is really changing very fast. There are so many different factors at play. What is your best game plan to really counter the kind of challenges that are there for
So like I was saying, Nisha, and I've been saying ad nauseum, this really has nothing to do with telecom and idea. So that's a question that we should address at some other point in time.
All right, the mega restructuring at Birla Group and has had enough impact on the stock market, especially Grasim as well as AV Nuvo stocks. Let's get more clarity from the banker to that deal. Raj Balakrishnan of Merrill Lynch is right here with us in the studio. Thanks so much, Raj, for joining us. What is the reason for so much of hullabaloo in the marketplace? The stock reaction, the shareholders are clearly, the minority ones, are clearly disappointed.
I don't see any reason for shareholders to be disappointed. I think it's a function of people trying to understand the contours of the deal. And I think as they do, they will recognize that this is a deal which creates value for all of them. The structure has been developed with the intent of combining businesses which generate strong free cash flow with businesses that have rapid growth prospects.
So I've spoken to many shareholders and some of the disappointed ones. They say that Grasim holding was mostly because of the cement play that they were getting by way of Grasim, and also VSF business, which is showing a lot of promise for future. They did not want telecom, which is a debt-laden company, is a cash-guzzling unit. How do you explain this? And going forward, will Idea may not be leveraging on the balance sheet of Grasim on the whole, because the debt covenants can be very, very strict, which Idea on its own cannot meet?
So I don't think that this is something which is being done from the perspective of trying to fund Idea, or something which is necessary for funding Idea. Idea has multiple options of its own.
Talking about creating value here, I'm not too sure, because always in the marketplace, the holding company discounts are not liked by the shareholders. We did speak to Aberdeen, which is a large investor, minority investor in Grasim, and they clearly told CNBC TV 18 that they are surprised with the restructuring, and that Grasim already is a holding company, and investors are worried about the discount that comes with a holding company.
If you look at the performance of AB Nuvo, for example, over the last 10 years, or look at it over 7 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, it has outperformed enormously, and it's always had a combination of different businesses: VFY, fertilizers, insulators, financial services, as well as a stake in telecom. Similarly, Grasim has always had multiple businesses.
But Ultratech share, and that reflective in the Grasim share is way lower. It's more than 50% discount to what Ultratech is trading at. So a financial services will come at a discount to a Grasim shareholder. A telecom Idea share price will also come at a discount to Grasim shareholder. So that is what the shareholders are worried about. Will the company look at, or the structuring did not think about this particular aspect, and can something be done about it?
So I think in terms of structuring, I think combining, holding company discounts fluctuate from time to time. The fact that both Grasim and AB Nuvo have outperformed the Sensex by broad margins over 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year.
I'm not talking about the broader markets and outperforming on those counts. I'm just talking about the inherent value of the business, whether it's reflective on the share price of the holding company. Holding company discount is very well known, and that's where the value is what is lost out for the minority shareholders. So this particular issue is not getting addressed in any of the clarifications that was given by the management or by the banker.
Look at the statistics, not just for these companies, but other holding companies around the world. I think you will see that holding companies, once again, are a function of market conditions. At times, the discount narrows a lot. At times, the discount widens.
All right.
That's not something a management team can control. That is something which is a market reality.
All right. So that's a market reality. You agree to that. And that's what the minority shareholders are concerned about. But what happens really to the AB Nuvo shareholders? Why are they disappointed? We'll discuss that with the banker to this mega restructuring deal right after this short break. Stay tuned to Big Deal.